this week I watched The World God Only Knows.
Longtime viewers of the show might remember that I use Kama over there as my avatar on YouTube, and back before I got my webcam here, uh, the, you
Yeah.
were presented with a nice static image of that the entire show.
Yes, and so yeah, when you recommended this to me, I kind of I went and looked at it and went, oh, that's your avatar. so
Yep.
yeah, so the crux of the series is that Kima Katsuragi is he's a Japanese high schooler who likes to play his dating sims on his like little PSP type device, and he always
PFP. It's totally
P,
legally distinct.
PFP, yes. And so he plays it even in class. He prefers the gaming world to the real world. And of course, he knows there is a distinction between the world of games and the real world. And then one day he gets a message from somebody, and what he doesn't realize, it's he thinks it's some sort of a challenge for him, but in reality, it's a contract with the demon. And then this girl shows up. Her name's Elsie, and she's the one with the little skull thing on her, on her head. And he has to basically has to seduce girls in the real world because there are loose souls trapped inside of them, and they're overriding their heart, overriding a part of their heart. So he has to work his way into the girls' hearts so that he can drive the loose soul out. Have I got that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Right. I think part of it is that another aspect of the show is that, like, I forget the exact mythos behind it because it's been a while, but there's basically a bunch of evil spirits that got released from hell by accident, and so
Uh,
Elsie's job is to get them back. It's very 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo.
yes. And of course, Elsie, she's kind of like a lower tier demon, and she's mainly only her main skills so far have just been cooking and cleaning.
Yes.
Uh, and, uh, and so, and of course, part of the contract is, if you could probably see it on the image, Kima has the purple band around his neck, and if he doesn't go around and drive out the loose souls, he's going to lose his head. And same with Elsie, because it's part of the whole contract. And
I am thou, thou art I.
yes. And so then Elsie then ingratiates herself into the family. She pretends to be his long lost sister, who is uh, is the love child of. She says, "I'm the love child of Kima's father."
She just completely destroys his family.
Yeah, just like what?
And Holy Ninja, this sounds like a lamer version of early Yu Yu Hakusho. I mean, it's an entirely different genre, so
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm 8 or 9 episodes in, and I'm enjoying the series. I mean, it's fun. It's a nice blend of comedy and drama. Uh, oh no. Uh, and
yeah. Just for the record, when we recommend these things to each other, you watch a whole movie, of course, but when we recommend each other TV shows, we only have like a 3 episode rule.
Right.
The fact that he's 9 in is telling.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it. Yeah, it's like I said, it's funny. I like Kima. He's a funny guy. He's exactly how you would expect a protagonist and to be in a series like this. He's not he's not a bumbling, idiot like most male main characters are in an anime series like this. He actually knows what he's doing, although he'll occasionally get flummoxed because he's not used to dealing with 3D girls. He's used to dealing with 2D girls.
Yes.
But it's it. But he certainly makes the series enjoyable, and it's funny, and keeps your attention, and Ninja Toad says, "Oh no, oh no, was about the sister because okay, so there's a funny little episode, and I think it's like the third episode,
Yeah.
second or the third episode where he has to come to the realization that to accept her as his little sister, even though like he said the criteria for being a little sister is we have to be
BMW blood.
BMW. Yes.
Blood. I forget what the other two ones are. Making memories or making
memories, yeah,
memories.
and then I can't remember what W was, but yeah, it's it's and he's so and then he starts to realize, oh, as it goes along, oh, she's starting to meet the criteria.
Right. Also, this series does not engage in any sort of sister love at all. No, in fact, the whole sister thing is them very firmly slamming the door on that concept, so that it doesn't pollute the rest of the series.
Yes, exactly.
So you don't have to worry about it.
Right. Yeah, and also too not really all that fan servicey.
No, there's some, but
there's some, but not like because like a lot of the girls aren't they're not what you would expect from anime girls in a series like this. It's not they're not like Marin Kitagawa, who's just
yeah, constantly on display.
Yeah. But yeah, check it out if you get the chance. It's on Crunchyroll. I don't know if it's anywhere else. It might be on Hulu. I'm not. I haven't checked, but
decent chance it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I really like about it is that it really dives. Like basically, each girl has a psychosis. Like that's what the loose soul is got into there to feed on.
Yeah.
And so you get to explore different characters. Like everybody has like a big flaw that is messing with their lives. So it's very rewarding to watch Keima figure it out.
Yeah, and of course he draws on his experience from playing dating sims to help him out with that.
Yep, he knows when to hold him, knows when to neg him.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. He's a pretty cool protagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, right. Good. I'm glad this was to your liking.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, on my end, so on my list of 90s movies I had never actually seen for whatever reason, The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. So this was not what I expected in a lot of ways. So to kind of go into it, I had seen a good number of Brendan Fraser movies in the 90s, but a lot of them were kind of like the more kid-oriented ones, like Dudley Do-Right, George of the Jungle, Encino Man.
Yeah.
I had not it has only hit me later as I've gone back and watched certain movies that he was kind of I almost thought he was a kids-oriented actor, but no, he runs the whole gamut of stuff.
Oh yeah. Ninja Toad's never seen this movie either.
Well, it is on Hulu, so if you have a subscription, spoiler alert, I think it's worth the watch. It is just a very straightforward adventure movie in kind of the Indiana Jones vein.
Oh yeah.
So if you want a little bit more of that before they go and ruin it with Dial of Destiny, before they don't make an Indiana Jones movie because we don't feel the need to talk about it.
There were no Indiana Jones movies after The Last Crusade.
No, what are you talking about? You're crazy.
Yes.
But so the movie starts off and it is with a breakdown of the backstory of the titular mummy.
Hmm.
which was surprisingly dark, and it sets the tone for the rest of the movie very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he was the what the high priest
I,
of a pharaoh, and
mhm.
he was dipping his ink in the company pen, or dipping his pen in the company ink, excuse me, a
Yeah.
little bit, and
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
with the pharaoh's top concubine. By the way,
Hmm.
this movie is not at all ashamed of the male gaze,
Oh no.
not even slightly.
Oh yeah.
So, uh, and he ends up being punished by being mummified alive with a bunch of scarabs eating him alive.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, that was. I remember. I actually saw this movie in the theater when it came out, and yeah, that opening scene with that, I'm like, oh, geez.
So, so many thousands of years later, we open up with a fight with Brendan Fraser. Now, what's interesting about this movie, they don't often establish things,
Hmm.
which makes it move along in a very breezy thing. Like that little bit of exposition dump at the start to set up what the mummy
Yeah,
is like the only real exposition you get outside of one other scene with a couple of the protagonists. It's like you
yeah,
never find out what Brendan Fraser was doing with that group of people who were trying to investigate the site with the where the mummy was buried.
yeah. They were French Foreign Legion.
Oh, did they say that? I guess I missed it.
I don't know if they say it, but you could tell by the uniforms.
Okay, I guess that's my ignorance. But like I
Yeah,
said, they never make a point of saying, "Oh man, here we are with the French Foreign Legion fighting off these Tuaregs."
yeah.
It's just assumed. Okay, you can figure out from context clues that Brendan and his team are outnumbered here, and they're being
Hmm.
descended upon by a bunch of desert nomads.
Yep.
The movie similar now that so he manages to escape with his life, and you find out that there are these guardians who have been trying to keep the mummy and the city of the dead from being found all these years.
Hmm.
Uh, it, then you meet there's like a trio of main protagonists. There's Brendan Fraser's character,
Hmm.
and this shows my inability to remember names a lot of the time. Um, and you have these this pair of siblings who no, not anime brother and sin sister,
Yeah.
holy ninja. Since you're so worried about that today,
Yeah.
but they're the children of a couple of a actually was the brother a full sibling or a half sibling?
I don't know if they ever established that.
Yeah, because he like the girl is half Egyptian, half British, with a great interest in Egyptology.
Hmm.
Her brother's kind of a like he's like half interested and kind of a bumbling comic relief character.
Yeah, he's kind of the kind of the huckster. He's kind of a huckster
Yeah.
type of guy. Yeah.
Uh, if this movie had been made 20 years later, they probably would have gotten Tom Hiddleston to play him.
Yeah.
He's along that Loki line,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
just more mischief than evil.
Yes.
And so they stumble across this map to the city of the dead, which has this supposedly has this enormous treasure in it.
Hmm.
And it just and it's I'm finding it slightly hard to describe because it just keeps moving so quickly. Because like
Yeah.
you can spend a lot of time summarizing the back and forth, but long story short, they and a rival group who they also never establish, but they managed to use context clues to make sure that you understand every person adequately.
Yeah.
Like, okay, he's the cowboy of the group. He's he's the British guy with the fez. So he's
Hmm.
like you can kind of like read between the lines and go, okay, he's the guy who goes somewhere and is too and wants to get immersed in the culture, so to speak.
Yeah.
You've got the guy with the glasses who kind of comes off as the brainy one, and
Yeah. Yeah.
the whole adventure is full of a lot of kind of tropey things like, oh, it's the ancient Egyptian curse, it's the ancient Egyptian pyramid full of death traps, and
Hmm. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. And Yeah, all the so I lost my train of thought. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, that's fine. Um, so I almost don't want to go too much further because the movie is not shy about having a body count among named characters.
Hmm.
The movie is not shy about moving briskly. I mean, spoiler alert: the Mummy does get released,
Yeah.
but I was talking with Daniel about this, and while I was watching it, and I'm so used to modern movie pacing that I
Mhm.
thought the Mummy was only going to be released at the end of the movie. Because
Yeah.
that's how they do it in every Marvel and DC movie, right? You
Right. Yeah.
never like Suicide Squad came to mind. It's not like the Enchantress like was released in the middle of the movie. Like
Right. Yeah.
she was like the final boss.
Yeah.
Um, and that was it was just so refreshing as I was watching it, thinking, you should like take a bunch of the modern comic book writers over at Marvel and DC and clockwork orange them this movie. Like tape their eyes open, force them to watch it. Like, okay, this is how a graphic novel or comic book should be because it's using visual storytelling. You don't have to have long conversations of characters establishing every little thing. We know enough to know here's how the mummy works, here's what the mummy needs to get his full power.
Yeah.
Here, but like uh, here's how the plot is moving around. We see that there is a love story, but we don't have to like have it beaten into our heads why they like each other. They're just two attractive people with similar interests who this gel.
Yes. Yeah.
Because this isn't a love story; it is a
It's a fantasy adventure action movie. Yeah.
yes. The romance is like a spice to it. Because
Hmm.
dang, what's the actress's name again?
Rachel Weisz.
Rachel Weisz. Daniel Craig is a lucky man
Yeah.
because dang, she looks good in this movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Uh,
1 second. It never fails. It never fails.
you get people messaging you right when we're doing the show.
Yep. There will be no activity for at least not a phone call this time, but
Yeah.
there will be no activity for hours before or after, but during, always during.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, and yes, Jangus, we are talking about the Brendan Fraser movie. So
Yes.
I give this a strong recommend. The graphics are slightly dated, but oh
Ooh.
god, I'm looking at the wrong screen here.
Ooh.
My bad. Let's
No
try
problem.
this again.
Once more with feeling.
We want this screen. Here we go.
Yes. There we go. Okay.
So what was I saying?
The effects are a little dated.
Yeah, because it is 1999 CGI in a lot of places, but I
Hmm.
would say it's where it's like it's one of those things where it's the effects themselves are dated, but it's directed well and implemented well. So it's like while like some of the sand dunes, you can tell, okay, that's obvious low poly CGI. It's like it's not.
Yeah.
It gets what it's across, and again, I don't want to go too much into it because so if you have a story that's like very navel gazy, you can like pluck a incident out and talk about it very easily without spoiling
Hmm.
anything. Like
Yeah.
if I talk about, say, the British Air Force guy,
Oh
if I,
yeah.
if I talk about him at all, I will have spoiled the effect of the character because he has like 3 scenes and he is very effective in those scenes.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to talk about what happens to the rival group of adventurers because to talk about that would be to spoil the impact of their scenes. This is a
Yeah.
pretty terrifying action adventure movie in places.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I was actually kind of surprised by the level of like violence and scary images in there. You know.
Like there's this one villain who or one bad guy who meets a very just and poetic end that is just you think it's bad and then it gets worse.
Yeah. Yeah. And Chenga says, what is Rachel Weisz up to these days besides being there? Well, she was in Black Widow.
Bum, bum, ba-dum.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, if you're like me and apparently Holy Ninja Toe, yeah, give it a watch. I don't know if I want to brave my way into the sequels because it seems like it might be a concept that doesn't lend itself to sequels.
yeah. The Mummy Returns isn't a horrible movie. It has some moments in there that are really good, but it's overall not nearly as good as this one. And
Okay.
and and talk about laughably bad CGI. Uh, just
Oh
just
man.
look up Dwayne Johnson's Scorpion King, and
Uh, I mentioned that to another friend, and he said basically the same thing, like I, about the sequels.
yeah, and then and just skip the third one entirely. Yeah.
Okay. Well,